So as the title suggests, I've decided not to sell my shop. You might have seen some of my earlier videos where I truly despised being here. Just hated it. Used to have chest pain on Sunday afternoons because I'd have to come to work on Monday, and I was the damn boss. Then I had a little change of heart, and I made a little video after that about kind of some of the things that I did wrong, or could have done better when we bought the shop from the existing ownership, and then my partner and I separated. And yeah, I got a lot of feedback from folks, some that own shops, some that never did, some that just want to troll. Doesn't really matter, but I got a lot of supporting comments as well. So today, we're going to give you an update on why I decided to keep my shop and what's different. All right, so as most of you know, I'm a used car dealer. That's kind of what I associate myself with being. I don't really associate myself too much of being a shop owner, but I do own an auto repair facility. We do transmissions, we do general repairs. For the last 2 years, I hated it. For the last year, I tried to sell it. And then I want to say it was Saturday, November 2nd. The guy that was going to buy it, we were scheduled to close, sent me a text and basically said, hey, we couldn't come together with the landlord, so, we're out. And the landlord had already told me that they were good to go and he was just waiting on their signatures. Turns out they rented a space down the road, but none of that is important. I have prayed every day, day and night, for at least that year. Please let this shop sell. Please let this shop sell. I had a space picked out a little further away I wanted, and that was the prayer over and over and over. So when that guy on Saturday bagged on me, I'll be honest, I was in the throes of depression Saturday. Sunday, we actually had a family breakfast. I have adult children. Two of the three live here locally. They came over with their families, and I let them know that the shop sale was going to go sideways, and I'm out of a buyer. And sometime on Sunday, I switched my prayer from "let this sell" to "if this isn't the direction I'm supposed to go, you have to show me because I am effing lost." And so that was Sunday. And Sunday, I spent most of the day down. Now, I hate the phrase "good Christian." I wouldn't say I'm a good Christian. I do plenty of stuff wrong. My language sucks. My gray area is about this effing wide. I can come off gruff, but I pray every day. I don't go to church like I should, and I feel like I have a relationship with Jesus. But this is not really necessarily a message about faith, but I guess it actually is. So that was my prayer. If this isn't the way, show me the way. My mechanic had already given his notice because we were supposed to be closing and he was going to go work somewhere else. So he had a job. So I texted him that Saturday or Sunday and I said, hey, I know you said you had a friend of a friend. We probably need to get in touch with him. Here's what happened. So I went to sleep that Sunday night, distraught, sad, depressed, chest pain, all those things. And I cannot explain this. I woke up Monday morning with a completely different attitude. And the best way to explain it is I was at peace. So I came to work Monday morning. My mechanic, Jeff, I guess I would say my friend Jeff, he had called his friend of a friend of a friend or whatever, and a guy materializes here that knew we were looking for work. Jeff, knowing all the technical things about being a mechanic, he quizzed the fella. His name is Josh, and saw that he probably had the technical proficiency that we needed. And then Josh and I spoke, and his salary was definitely in the range that we could afford. And the base was low enough that on the bad days, I wouldn't be paying out for nothing, which was great for me. And on good days, he would exceed his bonus and make extra money, which is good for him. Just as a side note, it turns out really there's only been maybe 2 weeks out of the last, I don't know, was it 8 weeks at this point maybe, that he only got his base. So win for everybody. But anyway, I talked to Josh. We made an agreement. Josh's first day was Jeff's last day, so Jeff left on a Friday. Josh was here Monday morning, and the tow truck brought his tools, and we got started. So we got a new mechanic. So that was the first thing that kind of made me peaceful. Okay, I'm not out of business. I have help. So then the next prayer changed to, I think this is what you want me to be doing, but you got to reassure me because I'm still not sure. But my chest pain's gone. I feel a lot better. And so immediately I took my Google listing that I had shut off because I was selling and didn't want to spend any more money, and turned it back on. And I had a second one I hadn't used in about a year, so I turned it back on. The spend was not big. I'm only spending $400 a month with Google. So I turned that back on in November at some point. I don't remember exactly where that was. Also, on my car lot side, I've been doing a lot of video editing and things like that with this program called Canva. So I started watching YouTube videos about Canva and how to bulk create ads for your business and things like that. So I started making daily ads. I made a bunch on Canva. Some were unique one-offs. Some were bulk create. But anyway, now 3 times a day on my Facebook page and my Instagram, I'm advertising our shop. And the services are, anything from transmission rebuilds, which I consider kind of a specialty, to general automotive repairs. And I made one that was transmission service for $149 plus fluid and filter. So most cars. And $149 sounds a whole lot better than it's probably going to be about $300. And in some cases, cars don't have a filter. Some take cheaper fluid than others. And I'm not paying Facebook for these ads, but I started getting a little bit of traction. I don't know, maybe I've done 10 of those transmission services. And we still get a 50% margin on them. It gets an opportunity. It's not a loss leader, but it's like a loss leader. We don't make a whole lot. We make about $125 or $150 on a transmission service, but we get to meet a customer. We get to look at other things that their car might need. We're not high pressure people. So here's what we noticed. If you ever want to do it, just let us know. So that started working. And then I had also kind of given up on the weekly Facebook or monthly generally Facebook groups that let you post your business. Like, I'm in a suburb of Dallas, so the city of Rockwall is right next door. They have a big group. Royce City is another one that has a big group. I'm actually in the city of Fate, but these are all separated by like 4 or 5 miles. So I started making sure that religiously I was on that business post on the 1st and the 15th or on the whatever their dates are. Religiously, I got on those. And instead of just doing like one picture of my building, I did one with the special. I did one that I have free towing if I do a transmission rebuild. And I also started including a little video. And that's something to talk about. So let me back up a little bit, back up from the camera, not the story. If you see this logo here, it just says Integrity Transmission and Auto Repair. Now, I thought about blurring it and not letting you know where my business is, but, Google will find me, so it's not a big deal. So I made new shirts. I got Josh shirts because we didn't have any new ones, so I ordered Josh some new shirts, only with the Integrity logo. And I made a couple of shirts for me with just the Integrity logo. And that is my subliminal reminder that I own integrity. And I have to own it. Not just own it as in physically it's mine, but own it as in it's my child, my baby. I have to take care of it. And so it was a little bit of a subliminal thing for me. But on to the videos. So I've done a lot of YouTube for, my cars, like the bonded titles, the salvage titles, the rebuilt titles, the mechanics liens, walk around videos. And I've seen a lot of YouTube people say that when it comes to sales, if people see you on video, they feel a connection to you. And so I had recorded a couple short blurbs for Integrity, just basically saying, hey, we're Integrity Transmission, we're locally owned and operated. I'm here every day. We're just a couple of fellas looking to make a living. We're not high pressure salespeople. We don't have a corporate culture. And if you're looking for a new relationship, we'd love to meet you. And that's the gist of a lot of these videos that I'd start putting out. And I have now had, let's see, I think it was November 6th or 7th. It was the Monday before Election Day, whatever day that was. Um, that's when the epiphany happened, if you will. And since then, somewhere in November is when I started, getting all these things in place. I've had like 3 different customers when I ask how they found us say, well, we saw your videos and thought you'd be an honest guy, or we thought you were a real guy, or some sort of positive attribute that they saw from the video led them to come in and give me money. Just one of these, the most recent one that I can remember is a 66 RFE transmission in a Dodge. It is an expensive ticket and at a good margin. And they called around and found out that my price was more than fair after they got their diagnosis. They just wanted to make sure I wasn't trying to break it off in them. And in conversation with the husband and wife, as they came in to pay their deposit and sign their authorizations, that's what's come up is we saw your video, thought you were an honest fella, so we wanted to do business with you. So that's pretty cool. So since that November, complete and total change of heart. The best way I can describe it is I am at peace. Now, was it that there was an election right after that epiphany and people maybe feel better about the economy, so they started spending? Was it that I turned my Google listing back on? Was it that I started using Canva on Facebook and Instagram? Was it that my new mechanic's base rate is a little bit lower than Jeff's base rate was? What has happened? And I can't quite answer. So December sales-wise was okay. When I say okay, I mean I didn't have to take any money out of my personal wallet and put it into Integrity. Integrity paid its own way, and we wrapped up the year making minimal money. And when I looked at that year, one of the things I realized was this is on me. As I emotionally detached from this business and quit running it, the sales suffered. And maybe subliminally, I didn't put my best foot forward when people called. Obviously, by turning off the advertising, we got less people to call. Obviously, with the higher overhead, we had some problems. When I look at the year to date, so just so everybody knows, and I don't think it's an industry secret, we operate on a 50% gross margin. What that means is if your ticket is $2,000, about $1,000 of that is my parts and labor. That covers my actual cost of goods of getting your job done. The other $1,000 goes to my overhead, my rent, my insurance, my utilities, my internet expense, maybe me getting to take some money home. So all my jobs run on right at a 50% margin. But when I looked at my cost of goods and divided it by my sales, my effective margin was closer to like 35%. I'm like, well, how the F is this possible if every job is 50%? Well, I figured it out, and it is my own fault. Having a lot of labor burden and not applying myself to get enough business in here, there were many a times where Jeff did not meet his guarantee. So I effectively paid out a guarantee and lost money on that because I didn't have the work for him. Now, that's nothing on Jeff. This was the agreement we made. You will get a minimum of X dollars. And because I quit trying to bring the top line in, it affected our cash flow. And Integrity did not do well in 2024. And the more I've dissected those numbers, the more I see where my own loss of interest, lack of effort, cost to shop money, cost to shop revenue, and decreased the top line sales. So that's an interesting piece to the financial puzzle. So then I started looking at like December, because December was fully a new guy. The guy was beating his guarantee, which means my labor dollars should match my jobs dollars of labor. And I'll be damned, we did a little bit better than a 50% gross margin for December. Now this is almost the last day of January, and we've been busy. I looked at my numbers, and this is the first time in a year, and maybe more, but I was only looking at the year, where integrity has beat the prior year month. So 2024's January was not as good as 2025 January. It looks like we're going to end up about 10 or 15% over 2024's January, and I won't know that number till the end of the month, which is only in 2 days. But we have some tickets that are going to pick up. So is it going to pick up and count on this month, or is it going to be a great start to February? But already I have divided my cost of goods by my gross sales, and I am at right over a 50% margin. So that tells me that our cash flow numbers are coming in line. And yeah, so I'm excited about that. Where I get to the title of the video, Faith Saved My Shop. I don't talk about my faith on a great basis. I know that, as a Christian person, you're supposed to go out and share the word and talk about your relationship. I just, if it's not solicited, I generally don't. To the point where a lot of people would wonder if I even would consider myself a Christian. But I do, and I pray every day, and I try to be a solid human and live like I should, but obviously not without some hiccups in my life. But that's that. So that prayer is what I am choosing to associate with the change. And some of it is on paper, nuts and bolts changes. On paper, we've upped our budget for advertising. Nuts and bolts wise, now I'm putting out these free Canva ads. I'm not paying Facebook or Instagram because they're not targeted, but I'm putting those out. On paper, we have now a mechanic that has a lower guarantee than the previous month. Now, I want to talk about that for a second, because in my last video, I got MF'd a few times by people talking about me screwing the new guy or cheating him or whatever. Well, let me say he's a little bit younger than my previous mechanic. He's maybe not quite as fast and maybe not quite as experienced. And the number that we paid him is a guarantee. While it is lower than Jeff's, it is the number that he asked for. So that's the first thing I want to point out. The second thing I want to point out is, with these improvements I've made as an owner, we're getting more work in. So the number of times that he is only getting that guarantee number is slim. I'll tell you, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I paid out more than I ever paid any technician in the 5 years I've owned this shop. No, wait. Could I have owned this shop I might have owned this shop 7 years now. I paid out more money to him on his check about 2 weeks ago than I ever paid a technician. It was double his guarantee. So I feel like he's being paid well, and I feel like he and I get along well. And I really appreciate his positive attitude here. And I feel like it's a relationship that is working. And anytime there's a question on tickets, we always err on his side, because I understand the importance of taking care of your people. Now, I was about to change motions here and talk about some of the other things that I had to deal with. And we'll make that another clip. If you have not seen the original video about why I hate owning a shop, I'm going to put it, I never know, because the camera reverses things. Somewhere up here is the video I made about why I hate owning a shop, if you want to see it. Anyway, what I wanted to say, what happened next. So I have 2 grown daughters, and we have daddy-daughter text thread. One daughter lives here in the Metroplex. We see her fairly often. The other daughter is wrapping up some work with the VA in Virginia, and she'll be back here in August. So we text every day. We have this daddy-daughter text. And basically, I just have told them that I don't know what's going on, but I am at peace. Another problem that I had, in this period of almost like purgatory. I know I was depressed. I know I was afraid. I know I was miserable. And I feel like maybe the prayer just wasn't right. So after February 3rd, 4th, whatever that day was, I woke up that Monday and I was at peace. And that was great. And I kept asking for guidance. How do I improve this? What am I supposed to be doing? One of the problems that we had was I kind of shut down when it came to taxes and the comptroller and the Secretary of State, and I got behind. I mean, it happens to small businesses. I let it happen to me. My taxes are both on my Schedule C. Both companies are single member LLCs. My wife has this big fear, real or imagined, that we'll get a garnishment, and since she is the only W-2 employee in our household, that her boss will find out we didn't pay our taxes, not want to deal with the garnishment, let her go, or whatever. And while I want to be dismissive of that fear because we're nowhere near that situation, I know that that fear is real for her. So that became the next thing I had to address. And I contacted my attorney, or not my attorney, I'm sorry, my accountant, who I hadn't talked to in probably 2 years because I hadn't filed, I hadn't done anything, to find out that he has quote unquote changed his business model, and he's not firing me, but he's no longer a good fit for me. Probably he fired me because I'm a pain in the ass customer, I'm slow to pay, and I don't do what he wants. And probably that was in part the depression or the apathy or whatever. So I went on one of our local Facebook groups. I found an accountant that had some good reviews. I've never met her face to face. We spoke for, I don't know, half hour, 45 minutes on the phone. I had sent a list of where I thought I was and what I was behind on and what my concerns were going forward. I'd sent that to 3 different accountants, spoke to 3 on the phone about those notes, and just got the best vibe from this lady. So we made a deal, an engagement letter, whatever you want to say. We made a commitment to one another, and she's gone to work on filing my past due taxes, getting my Secretary of State and comptroller issues squared away. And while I have some tax debt coming, I feel good because we're solving these problems. Another thing that I wanted to do, just so that going forward my wife would feel a little bit better, and I don't know if it's financially worth it in terms of what's the best tax mathematical situation, I've converted the LLCs to S Corps. So what that means is going forward, Tom will be the only employee of my company. And so we'll be getting a W-2, and we'll be getting a little bit of dividend, and our personal returns going forward will be my W-2 and her W-2. And that will eliminate any of our business snafus, hitting our personal tax return. And then we'll get a payment plan for what we're behind. And I'm going to be paying a monthly maintenance fee to this accounting group to keep me on track with Secretary of State, keep me on track with my payroll, my 940s, my 941s, my quarterly earnings, so that there's no more big boof at the end of the year that causes everybody some stress. So while she's a little bit of a ball breaker in terms of, hey, I need this, I need this, I need this, where I would say, hey, slow down, I recognize that that is probably the way I need to be treated as I come out of this depression, funk, purgatory, whatever it is. So that's where the business is at now. When we look at January, which ends in 2 days, I know that January is going to be better than 2024. And while my P&L has changed up, one, because of the way my credit cards are processed, we're working through that. But now also money that I take home actually hits my P&L, whereas before it didn't hit the P&L. It was just profit from a business. So now when I look at my P&L, we make almost $0, which would originally scare me. But the reality is that just means that I took money home and the business did whatever. So I am happy to look at that. I look at that P&L just about every single day, just comparing where am I at to last month, what has to happen, how are we doing. We've caught up some of the old bills that have lingered. And I'm moving forward with a positive attitude. So that is an update on where the shop is at right now. Um, I'm keeping it. Selling it is not even on my radar. I'm happy to come to work every day. I can't believe I say that. My blood pressure is back where it should be, and I don't know if that's literal or not. My headspace is back where it should be. I feel peace. I'm at peace. And my message being, if you don't know if you believe in God, if you believe in God but don't want to talk about it, this is my testimonial. I believe. I am choosing to believe that the day I changed my prayer, God answered that prayer because I was praying for the wrong thing. And when I did the right thing, He blessed me with more good things coming, with increased volume, with the wisdom to turn Google back on, with a change in my heart. So I would definitely say that for me, my faith saved my shop. And that means it saved my ability to make a living. And I will say it saved my ability to be happy and healthy. Uh, that's what I believe, guys. So if you believe, great. If you don't believe, I understand. If you think about wanting to know, I'd encourage you to find a church that you sort of believe in what their doctrine might be. You can Google almost all these churches: Methodist, Church of Christ, Assembly of God, Catholic, Lutheran, Mormon, whatever. Find one that works for you. And remember that no matter what the doctrine says, the real question is this. It's, who was Jesus Christ? Is he the Son of God sent here to cleanse your sins? Or is he a crazy person that was making it all up? You have to decide that. And the second question you have to decide is, who is he to you? Do you want a personal relationship with Jesus? If you do, you know where to go find it. Buy a Bible, read the Bible, find a church that works for you, find other people that are like minded to you and associate with them. That's what you need to do. So for me, faith saved my shop and provided just a 180-degree different paradigm shift. And I'm grateful for it. So if you watch the video this far, I'm sure there's another video coming up. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.